Hi everyone, it's Jen on the go. Welcome back to this channel. In today's video, we are talking about the Instacart strike thus far. Shoppers are asking, what is happening? What was the point? And did this even make a difference at all? These are great questions, so let's address them right now. Okay, let's go. Most Instacart shoppers, not all shoppers, are aware that the Instacart strike began on October 16th, 2021. This is not a one and done walk-off, not even close. Instead, this is an ongoing movement to attempt to tarnish Instacart's already corroded image. This definitely isn't an instant gratification movement. And in fact, it's a complex lift that takes time, grit, and support. So for those people who may be saying, well, that didn't work, we need to all remember that Rome wasn't built in a day and success is rarely immediate. I did hear from Willy Solis, who is one of the lead organizers with the Gig Workers Collective. He sent me an email and asked that I share this email with all of you. Here is what he said. Hi Jen, thank you for all your support and for creating such an incredible platform for shoppers. As many of your viewers know, last weekend was the start of the Instacart Shopper Walk-Off. We ask those who walked off to continue to stay strong and use alternative means of income. For those who must continue to use Instacart, we call on you to know your worth and to continue to reject $7 batches regardless of tip amount. We know our protest is working. Over the last couple of weeks, we have changed the public narrative Instacart wants to paint. Instacart has a strong desire to paint itself as profitable as it seeks to be acquired by another company or list itself in the stock market. Shoppers' call to action tells the world of Instacart's exploitative employment model it chooses to use. Our actions also remind Instacart that without shoppers, there is no Instacart. We are the backbone of the company. Our voices are being heard. Changing the narrative and public perception is a huge success in and of itself. We received lots of media coverage, including mentions on CNN, MSNBC, along with a host of news articles in printed publications like Newsweek, TechCrunch, Vice, and others. Through media coverage, we are letting the world know Instacart is exploiting its workforce. It's working. Instacart was forced to respond to media inquiries about our working conditions and the way shoppers are compensated. We must continue the pressure. In the coming weeks, we will be announcing our next steps, which will include strategic, in-person actions at Instacart and partner retailers' headquarters. We are looking for shoppers who would like to be involved in these actions, specifically in San Francisco, Houston, Cincinnati, or Ontario, Canada. We also invite shoppers who would like to organize something in their cities to reach out to us. Shoppers may email me directly at willy@gigworkerscollective.org or sign up at gigworkerscollective.org. Thank you again, Jen, for all you do to keep shoppers informed and empowered. Willy, Gig Workers Collective. Here is the segment on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd on MSNBC, where they are talking about Instacart and its low pay.
That'll be a lot nicer to our workforce.
Yeah, I mean, look, people who in Washington are surprised by this dynamic have fundamentally misunderstood what happened in the pandemic when people with white-collar jobs stayed home and complained about how hard it was to work on Zoom, and people with blue-collar jobs who were essential went to work every day and braved the pandemic. I mean, if you think you had a hard time working from home, or you still are while you were working on Zoom, and you don't understand why folks who've been out in it every day are striking and are very upset, I don't know what to tell you.
And our service economy is a very labor-intensive economy. And now we're having, one of the, let me put up some of the companies here. Instacart is one of the places that's having one of these labor. I mean, I do think that this new sector of the economy, that factory workers were really important to our economy in the 50s and 60s.
Now it's the service
economy, the deliverers,
the DoorDash, yes. The Instacart, people who
are not paid very well.
They're not paid very well, and so are we going to have a generational change that this is COVID? We're going to look back 20 years from now and say that was the instigator for this, or are we going to wake up 3 years from now and say, oh, well, it was COVID, and guess what? We're going to go back to normal because of all these other structural challenges. We still have.
This strike or walk-off isn't about disrupting Instacart's service. This is about calling them out and hurting their already hurt reputation and overshadowing Fiji Simo's PR articles with shopper grievances. Gig Workers Collective stated, "Did you know Fiji is currently trying to create the narrative that she's a girl boss who empowers other women, or that she listens to its workers? Did you know that Instacart is telling journalists that this is the happiest the workforce has ever been?" Regarding this walk-off, it's shifting the public conversation from, wow, Instacart is preparing for an exciting IPO, to Instacart shoppers are treated poorly and their new CEO is already making things worse. The damage to Instacart is the real reason we protest. Again, this strike isn't a one and done. It is a strategic series of events that publicly shame this company and force them to be honest and to acknowledge Instacart shoppers' most pressing issues instead of publicly deceiving and acting like all is well. There is another segment that aired on the CBC national news in Canada. Daniel, who is an Instacart shopper, sent me the link to this news segment that he is a part of. Let's watch.
Daniel Foyer has worked as an Instacart shopper since May of 2020. He was making good money, $40 to $50 an hour, including tips. But now he says his income has fallen off a cliff.
I put together a spreadsheet that keeps track of all my earnings. So the red line represents minimum wage. The income has been below minimum wage from Instacart and has been trending downward since June.
Minimum wage doesn't actually apply to Instacart shoppers. It's similar to Uber. Both companies consider their workers independent contractors, not employees.
I made less money.
This shopper in Western Canada was also making far more than minimum wage before his earnings collapsed. He supports his wife and 3 children with his Instacart earnings, so he asked CBC News to conceal his identity. He's afraid he'll lose his job by speaking out. He had been making over $1,000 a week. Now the fees offered are so low, he says many aren't even worth taking.
That evens out to maybe $5-6 an hour, considering that you still have to pay for the expenses for your vehicle.
In a statement to CBC News, Instacart says shopper earnings in Canada increased at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and have stayed higher than pre-pandemic levels. As for why some Canadian shoppers are seeing a decrease, the company says earnings can fluctuate due to a variety of factors.
Basically, they just sit back and watch the register ring while we're out here trying to figure out a way to make our next car payment.
The Canadian shoppers say they're relying more and more on customer tips to get by.
There's a lot of good things from the customer's perspective, but from the shopper's perspective, they are lousy communicators when it comes to things that seriously impact us.
They'd rather speak out than quit and hope to see changes soon. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Whitby, Ontario.
The Gig Workers Collective, along with so many other supporters, including customers, is making a difference in pushing this strike forward. Impactful things are happening every day, even if we don't see them. So the point of this strike is a great one. Protests don't hurt shoppers, but what does is complacency and desperation. And telling your fellow shoppers that protesting only makes things worse actually hurts shoppers. Every concession or improvement Instacart shoppers have ever received has been the result of a protest. Moving forward, the Gig Workers Collective is asking that Instacart shoppers continue their support by refusing to accept orders with a $7 batch pay minimum. This does include $7 orders with a small customer tip attached. And if possible, please refuse the triple batches. These triple orders set up shoppers to fail. And by accepting a triple batch, you're saying to Instacart, no problem, I'll take this triple batch so that Instacart only has to pay me one fee of $7 so that they can shave money for their own pockets. In addition, throw in the non-tipping customers, which will put me at a greater risk. What would really help everyone is for Instacart shoppers to stop taking orders like this. And by the way, this type of order is commonplace now because shoppers are taking these. This payment, $7. 0 customer tip, 41 items. The national gas average right now is $3.36 per gallon. Let's say that this entire trip takes about 5 miles in total. So we need to deduct the gas from this batch payment. So let's deduct 67 cents. Oh, but let's not forget we have to take out our taxes, which is 30% to be safe. So again, to be safe, we should take out $1.89 so that we can account for our taxes. Because this batch has a total of 41 items in it, it will take at least 45 minutes to an hour to shop for a batch of this size, especially now with all of the replacements and customer communication due to the shortage of food in the stores. So when it's all said and done and you really do the math, which isn't hard, this Instacart shopper earned about $4.44 an hour. As much as we don't want to think so, Instacart shoppers really are taking these batches. And if you are one of those Instacart shoppers who does take these batches with no judgment, if you could let us know in the comment section below what is your justification in doing so that we can get a better understanding as to why these batches are being taken. And yes, we do know that if these batches sit too long in the batch queue, Instacart will go ahead and put these batches in a triple batch, which is again why it's so important to not be so quick to take one of these triple batches. There is no judgment for those who are taking these batches, but just understand that as an Instacart shopper who is giving in so quickly, it does hurt the greater good. And most importantly, it really hurts you and devalues your worth. Please let us know in the comment section below if you are still continuing to partake in not accepting low batches, and if you're not, let us know why. And I will also link all of the Gig Workers Collective contact information so that if you want to get involved, you can. You can email the Gig Workers Collective directly, or you can email me. I will put my email in the description box below. Thank you all so much for your support, for your engagement, and for your opinions, because everybody's opinion matters to me. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video.